What if everything you've been told about personal transformation is not just wrong, but actually keeping you trapped in a cycle of endless preparation that never leads to real change? In the next few minutes, I'm going to share something that might sound impossible at first, but by the end, you'll understand why waiting to reinvent yourself might actually be the biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you truly want. The people who seem to transform overnight aren't lucky or special. They've discovered something that the rest of us are missing. It's not what you think, and it's definitely not what they teach in personal development circles. They understand that transformation isn't a process, it's a decision. And that decision can happen in a single moment, creating ripple effects that reshape everything in just one day. Right now, you might be thinking this sounds too good to be true. You've probably been conditioned to believe that real change takes months of struggle, gradual habit formation, and painstaking step-by-step progress. But what if that entire paradigm is designed to keep you stuck in the preparation phase forever, always getting ready to change but never actually changing? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal transforms everything you thought you knew about reinvention. By the end of today, you won't just understand how to reinvent yourself in 24 hours, you'll have actually done it. The instant transformation trap. Have you noticed how the harder you try to reinvent yourself gradually, the more elusive lasting change becomes? There's something happening beneath the surface that most of us miss because we're focused on the wrong timeline entirely. We've been taught that transformation is a marathon when it's actually a sprint, or more accurately, a single leap. Think about the most significant changes in your life. The moments when you truly transformed weren't the result of months of gradual progress. They happened in an instant. The moment you decided to end a relationship that wasn't serving you. The day you quit a job that was draining your soul. The instant you realized you were worth more than you'd been accepting. These weren't gradual shifts. They were sudden, complete transformations of identity. But somewhere along the way, we started believing that change has to be slow and painful. We bought into the idea that we need to ease ourselves into transformation, that we need to be patient and gradual and gentle with ourselves as we slowly evolve. This approach isn't just ineffective, it's actually counterproductive. Here's why gradual change fails. Your identity is like a rubber band. When you stretch it slowly, it has time to resist and eventually snap back to its original shape. But when you make a sudden, complete shift, your identity doesn't have time to mount a defense. You bypass the resistance mechanism entirely and land in a completely new way of being. Your brain is designed to maintain the status quo. It interprets gradual change as a threat and activates powerful resistance mechanisms to pull you back to familiar patterns. But when change happens instantaneously, the brain accepts the new reality as fact and begins supporting it instead of fighting it. Most people spend years trying to change gradually, fighting against their own psychological programming every step of the way. They white-knuckle their way through habit changes, battle their impulses, and wonder why transformation feels so hard. They're trying to sneak past their own defenses instead of overwhelming them completely. The truth is, you're already transforming every moment. Every thought you think, every choice you make, every breath you take is creating a new version of you. The question isn't whether you can change, the question is whether you're going to direct that change consciously or let it happen randomly. Your current identity isn't some fixed, permanent thing. It's just a collection of thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors that you've been repeating out of habit. And habits can be changed instantly when you understand how to work with your mind's natural mechanisms rather than against them. Revolutionary understanding. There's something profound that happens when we truly understand transformation, not the surface-level understanding most people have, but the deeper truth that changes everything. What I'm about to share might feel uncomfortable at first, then liberating, and finally revolutionary. Here's what transforms everything about personal reinvention. Change isn't a process, it's a decision followed by immediate action. Every moment you exist is a moment of potential complete transformation. The only thing standing between you and instant reinvention is the belief that it has to take longer. Let me tell you about Marcus, a client who discovered this principle in the most unexpected way. He had been trying to work on himself for 3 years. Meditation apps, self-help books, therapy, courses, workshops, he had tried everything. He was making slow progress, but nothing dramatic was happening. He still felt fundamentally like the same person with the same limitations and the same stuck patterns. Then, one Tuesday morning, everything changed. He was sitting in his car outside his office, dreading another day at a job that felt meaningless when he had what can only be described as a moment of complete clarity. He saw with perfect understanding that he had been approaching change all wrong. He had been trying to gradually become someone different instead of simply choosing to be someone different right now. In that moment, he made a complete identity shift, not gradually, not over time, but instantly. He decided that he was no longer the person who settled for less than he deserved. He was no longer the person who avoided difficult conversations. He was no longer the person who put everyone else's needs before his own. What happened next was extraordinary. He walked into his office and had 3 conversations he had been avoiding for months. He set boundaries with colleagues who had been taking advantage of his time. He scheduled a meeting with his boss to discuss the promotion that was long overdue. By lunch, he felt like a completely different person. By the end of the day, his entire life trajectory had shifted. The transformation wasn't gradual, it was instantaneous. The moment he decided to be different, he was different. Everything else was just the external world catching up to his internal shift. This reveals something profound about the nature of identity. You are not your past. You are not your patterns. You are not your history or your habits or your limitations. You are pure consciousness with infinite capacity to choose who you want to be in any given moment. The person you were 5 minutes ago is not the person you have to be right now. While most people try to change their behaviors, hoping it will eventually change their identity, true transformation works in the opposite direction. When you change your identity first, your behaviors automatically align with that new identity. You don't have to force new habits, they emerge naturally from your new sense of self. This is why willpower-based approaches to change fail. You're trying to act differently while still identifying as the same person. It's like trying to drive north while pointing south. The internal conflict makes progress impossible. But when you shift your identity first, everything else becomes effortless. You don't have to remember to act differently, you naturally act in alignment with who you know yourself to be. Natural emergence. Like a butterfly that doesn't gradually become beautiful but emerges fully formed from its cocoon, your transformed self doesn't need to be built slowly. It needs to be revealed instantly. The river doesn't gradually learn to flow, it flows naturally the moment the dam is removed. Your authentic self already exists fully formed within you. It's not something you need to create or develop or grow into. It's something you need to choose to be right now. Every limitation you think you have is just a story you've been telling yourself. Every pattern you think is permanent is just a habit you've been unconsciously maintaining. The moment you truly understand this, you realize that reinvention isn't about becoming someone new, it's about dropping everything that isn't authentically you. It's about releasing the false stories, the limiting beliefs, the inherited expectations, and the unconscious patterns that have been masking your true nature. Think about how a snake sheds its skin. It doesn't gradually peel off pieces over weeks or months. When it's time to transform, the old skin comes off all at once, revealing the new skin that was already there underneath. Your transformation works the same way. You already know who you really are beneath all the conditioning. You've caught glimpses of your authentic self in moments of flow, in times of crisis, in periods of deep inspiration. That person isn't someone you need to become, that person is who you already are when you're not trying to be someone else. The key insight is this: authenticity is not a destination you arrive at through gradual self-improvement. Authenticity is your natural state that gets revealed when you stop performing and pretending and trying to be who you think you should be. Instant foundation. The foundation of instant transformation rests on understanding that your identity is not fixed. Every moment is a fresh opportunity to choose who you want to be. Every breath is a chance to embody a new version of yourself. Every decision is a vote for the person you're becoming. This isn't positive thinking or wishful hoping. This is practical psychology based on how your mind actually works. Your brain creates your experience of reality based on the stories you tell yourself about who you are. Change the story and you instantly change your reality. The process begins with what I call identity interruption, the moment you catch yourself in an old pattern and realize you have a choice. Instead of automatically continuing the pattern, you pause and ask, who do I choose to be right now? This question is revolutionary because it assumes you have complete freedom to choose your identity in any moment. You're not trapped by your past, you're not limited by your patterns, you're not stuck with who you've been. You have the power to choose who you are right now. Most people never realize they have this choice. They think they are their thoughts, their emotions, their reactions, their habits. But you are the consciousness that can observe these things, which means you are separate from them. And if you're separate from them, you can choose different ones. The moment you realize you can choose your identity, everything changes. You stop being a victim of your patterns and start being the conscious creator of your experience. You stop reacting automatically and start responding consciously. You stop being who you've always been and start being who you choose to be. This foundation supports everything else that follows. When you truly understand that identity is a choice you make moment by moment, you realize that transformation doesn't require time. It requires decision. Once you've chosen your new identity, the second foundation is about expressing that identity through immediate action. This isn't about planning or preparing or getting ready to act differently. This is about acting differently right now, in alignment with who you've chosen to be. Your actions are votes for your identity. Every choice you make either reinforces your old self or creates your new self. There's no neutral ground. You're either moving toward your authentic expression or away from it with every decision. The key is to start with small actions that feel manageable but meaningful. If you've chosen to be someone who values their time, start saying no to requests that don't align with your priorities. If you've chosen to be someone who speaks their truth, start expressing your genuine opinions in conversations. If you've chosen to be someone who takes care of their health, start making choices that honor your body. These don't have to be dramatic gestures, they just have to be authentic expressions of your chosen identity. Each aligned action strengthens your new sense of self and makes the next aligned action easier. What's fascinating is how quickly your external world begins to shift when you start expressing your authentic identity. People respond to you differently. Opportunities that align with your true self start appearing. Circumstances that were stuck begin to move. It's as if the universe was waiting for you to show up as who you really are. This happens because authenticity is magnetic. When you're genuinely expressing your true self, you naturally attract people and situations that resonate with that authenticity. You also naturally repel people and situations that were only attracted to your false persona. The key is consistency. Every choice is an opportunity to reinforce your new identity or revert to your old one. The more consistently you choose actions that align with your authentic self, the more natural and automatic those choices become. Within hours of making aligned choices, you'll notice a shift in how you feel about yourself. There's an internal resonance that happens when your actions match your identity, a sense of rightness and flow that confirms you're moving in the right direction. This feeling becomes your guide. Instead of relying on external validation or complex decision-making frameworks, you can simply ask, does this choice align with who I've chosen to be? Your authentic self knows the answer immediately. Conscious momentum. The third foundation involves creating momentum through conscious repetition of your new identity throughout the day. This isn't about forcing yourself to maintain new behaviors through willpower. This is about consciously choosing your identity moment by moment until it becomes your automatic default. Every time you face a choice, you have an opportunity to vote for your new self or your old self. The person who chooses confidence over insecurity in the morning conversation, the person who chooses authenticity over people-pleasing in the afternoon meeting, the person who chooses self-care over self-sabotage in the evening routine. Each conscious choice creates momentum. The first choice might require effort and attention. The second choice becomes slightly easier. By the 10th choice, you're operating from a new baseline of identity. By the end of the day, you've literally become a different person through the accumulation of conscious choices. This is why transformation can happen in a single day. You're not gradually changing your personality over months. You're making a series of conscious choices throughout one day that collectively create a complete identity shift. The key is maintaining awareness. Most people make choices unconsciously, defaulting to whatever pattern is most familiar. But when you bring consciousness to your choices, you can deliberately choose responses that align with your desired identity rather than your historical patterns. Set reminders throughout your day to check in with yourself. Ask, who am I choosing to be right now? This simple question interrupts automatic patterns and creates space for conscious choice. You might be surprised by how many opportunities for identity choice you have in a single day. From how you respond to your alarm clock in the morning, to how you interact with strangers throughout the day, to how you speak to yourself before sleep, every moment is a chance to embody your authentic self. What creates lasting transformation is not the perfection of your choices, but the consciousness of your choices. Every time you choose authenticity over performance, truth over comfort, growth over safety, you're reinforcing your new identity and weakening your old patterns. By evening, the accumulation of conscious choices creates a completely different internal experience. You feel different because you are different. You've spent an entire day consciously creating and embodying a new version of yourself. Complete integration. The fourth foundation brings together everything you've learned and experienced throughout the day into a coherent new sense of self. This is where the transformation becomes permanent rather than temporary. Integration happens when you recognize that the person you've been throughout the day isn't someone you were pretending to be. It's who you actually are when you're not performing old patterns. The confidence you expressed wasn't fake, it was your natural state without insecurity. The authenticity you embodied wasn't an act, it was your true self without pretense. This recognition is crucial because it shifts your relationship with change from trying to be different to allowing yourself to be natural. You realize that transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about stopping the performance of being someone you never really were. Many people resist this recognition because they've identified so strongly with their limitations that they can't imagine those limitations were just temporary patterns rather than permanent traits. But when you spend the full day embodying your authentic self, you can no longer deny that this version of you is real and available. The integration process involves consciously acknowledging the changes you've experienced. Notice how you feel different in your body. Notice how your thoughts have shifted. Notice how your interactions with others have changed. Notice how your relationship with yourself has evolved. This isn't about congratulating yourself or creating a sense of achievement. This is about recognizing what's true. You have transformed. You are different. The person you were this morning is not the person you are tonight. Write down or mentally note the specific ways you've expressed your authentic self throughout the day. Not to create a record of accomplishments, but to acknowledge the reality of your transformation. Each authentic expression was evidence of who you really are beneath your old patterns. Also notice what wasn't as difficult as you expected. Many people discover that being authentic is actually easier than performing a false persona. Being confident is more effortless than being insecure. Speaking truth is less exhausting than maintaining pretense. This recognition creates a new foundation for tomorrow and every day after. You now know from direct experience that you can choose who you want to be and express that choice through immediate action. You know that transformation doesn't require months of preparation, it requires moments of decision. The person you've become today isn't fragile or temporary. It's not dependent on external circumstances or other people's approval. It's your authentic self expressing naturally when you're not interfering with old patterns. Sustainable expression. What makes this transformation sustainable is that it's based on authenticity rather than effort. You're not maintaining a false persona that requires constant energy to sustain. You're simply being who you naturally are when you're not performing old patterns. Authentic expression is inherently sustainable because it requires less energy than performance. When you're being genuinely yourself, you're working with your natural grain rather than against it. There's a flow and ease that comes from alignment between your inner truth and outer expression. This doesn't mean transformation is always comfortable. Authenticity sometimes requires difficult conversations, unpopular choices, or stepping outside your comfort zone. But these challenges feel different when they're in service of your truth rather than in service of someone else's expectations. The key to maintaining your transformation is continuing to make conscious choices. Every day will present opportunities to choose your authentic self or revert to old patterns. The difference is now you know you have this choice and you've experienced the rewards of choosing authenticity. Create simple daily practices that support your continued authentic expression. This might be a morning intention to embody your true self, regular check-ins throughout the day to ensure your choices align with your identity, or evening reflection on how you showed up. Remember that authenticity is not a destination but a practice. You don't become authentic once and then you're done. You choose authenticity moment by moment, day by day, situation by situation. Some days will be easier than others. Some circumstances will trigger old patterns more strongly. This is normal and doesn't mean you failed or lost your transformation. It means you're human and you're continuing to grow. What matters is your overall trajectory toward greater authenticity and your commitment to conscious choice. Every time you choose truth over comfort, authenticity over approval, growth over safety, you're reinforcing your transformation and making it stronger. Revolutionary results. The results of instant transformation are often surprising to people because they expected change to feel more dramatic or difficult. Instead, authenticity feels natural and right. It's not that you've become someone extraordinary, it's that you've stopped being someone ordinary when you were meant to be extraordinary. Your relationships will shift as people respond to your authentic energy. Some people will be drawn to your genuineness and want to connect more deeply. Others might feel threatened by your authenticity because it challenges their own performance patterns. Both responses are valuable information about the quality of your connections. Your work life will begin to align more closely with your values and natural gifts. You might find yourself taking on projects that excite you, speaking up in meetings where you previously stayed silent, or pursuing opportunities that felt too risky before. This isn't because you've become braver, it's because you're no longer invested in maintaining a false image. Your creative expression will flourish as you stop censoring yourself to meet others' expectations. Ideas that felt too unconventional, projects that seemed too ambitious, expressions that felt too personal, these begin to emerge naturally when you're no longer filtering your authentic impulses through other people's judgments. Your energy levels will increase because you're no longer using mental and emotional resources to maintain a false persona. Performance is exhausting. Authenticity is energizing. When you align your outer expression with your inner truth, you tap into natural vitality that was previously blocked by internal conflict. Your decision-making becomes clearer and faster because you have a reliable internal compass. Instead of weighing pros and cons or seeking external validation, you can simply ask, what would my authentic self choose? The answer comes quickly and feels right in your body. Most importantly, your relationship with yourself transforms. You develop genuine self-respect based on your willingness to honor your truth rather than artificial self-esteem based on external achievements. You like yourself not because you're perfect, but because you're real. These changes don't require maintenance in the traditional sense because they're expressions of your natural state rather than imposed improvements.
You don't have to work to be authentic. You have to work to be inauthentic. You don't have to try to be yourself. You have to try to be someone else. Daily mastery. The practice of reinventing yourself in one day isn't something you do once and then you're finished. It's something you can do anytime you notice yourself falling back into old patterns or anytime you want to access a deeper level of authenticity. Every day is an opportunity for reinvention. Every morning you wake up with the same choice. Will you be who you've always been, or will you be who you choose to be today? This choice is available to you regardless of what happened yesterday or what you think might happen tomorrow. The mastery comes not from perfecting your authentic expression, but from remembering that you always have the power to choose authenticity in any moment. You might forget for hours or days, but the moment you remember, you can instantly return to conscious choice and authentic expression. Develop sensitivity to when you're performing versus when you're being authentic. Performance feels effortful, strategic, and exhausting. Authenticity feels natural, spontaneous, and energizing. The more you practice recognizing the difference, the faster you can course correct when you notice yourself falling into performance patterns. Create rituals that support your continued transformation. This might be starting each day by choosing your identity, setting intentions before important conversations, or reflecting each evening on how you showed up authentically. These practices keep consciousness present in your choices rather than allowing them to become automatic. Remember that transformation is not about becoming perfect, but about becoming real. Your authentic self isn't someone who never makes mistakes or never feels uncertain. Your authentic self is someone who makes mistakes authentically and feels uncertainty genuinely, rather than hiding these human experiences behind a false persona. The goal isn't to eliminate all challenges or difficulties from your life. The goal is to meet those challenges as your authentic self rather than as someone you think you should be. Authentic response to difficulty is very different from performed response to difficulty. Unlimited potential. What you've discovered today is that transformation is always available to you. You don't need permission, preparation, or perfect circumstances. You need only the willingness to choose authenticity in this moment and express that choice through immediate action. This understanding changes everything about how you approach your life. Instead of waiting for the right time to change, you realize that every moment is the right time. Instead of preparing to become who you want to be, you realize you can choose to be that person right now. The limitations you thought were permanent features of your personality are revealed to be temporary patterns that you can change instantly through conscious choice. The qualities you admired in others but thought were impossible for you are revealed to be aspects of your own authentic nature waiting to be expressed.
Your capacity for transformation is unlimited because your essential nature is unlimited. You are not your thoughts, your emotions, your patterns, or your history. You are the consciousness that can observe and choose among all these possibilities. And consciousness has infinite creative potential. This doesn't mean change is always easy or that external circumstances will immediately align with your internal shifts, but it means you are never trapped by who you've been. You always have the power to choose who you want to be right now and begin expressing that choice immediately. Every person who has ever inspired you, every quality you've ever admired, every way of being you've ever found attractive, these are all possibilities available to you in this moment. Not because you can copy someone else's expression, but because you can access your own authentic expression of these universal human potentials. The only question is, who do you choose to be, and when do you choose to be that person? The answer to the second question is always the same: now. Immediate action. Your transformation doesn't begin when you finish reading this. Your transformation began the moment you decided to open yourself to the possibility of instant change. Every word you've read, every insight you've had, every recognition of your own potential has been creating shifts in your identity and possibility. The question now is not whether you can reinvent yourself in one day, you're already doing it. The question is how consciously and intentionally you'll direct this natural process of moment-to-moment becoming.
Start right now. Choose one aspect of your authentic self that you want to express more fully. That might be confidence, creativity, compassion, courage, curiosity, or any other quality that feels true to who you really are. Choose one specific way you can express this quality in the next hour. Not tomorrow, not when you have more time, not when circumstances are better. Right now, in this moment, with whatever situation you're currently facing. This is how transformation works, not through grand gestures or perfect plans, but through immediate, authentic choices that accumulate into complete reinvention. You become who you choose to be by choosing to be that person right now, and then choosing to be that person again in the next moment, and then choosing to be that person again in the moment after that. By the time you go to sleep tonight, you will be a different person than you were when you woke up this morning. Not because of what happened to you, but because of who you chose to be in response to what happened to you. The person you're becoming has been waiting inside you all along. Today is the day you finally let them out. Today is the day you stop performing and start being. Today is the day you reinvent yourself, not by becoming someone new, but by finally being who you've always truly been. Your transformation is not a future possibility, it's a present reality. Welcome to your new life. Welcome to your authentic self. Welcome home.